So the last rule for chapter 7.2 is once again the stock system. Just like the prefix, this is going to be a little bit easier than it was in 7.1 because the Roman numerals will be in the names. So it won't be so much of a searching game. You will know to use this rule because there's a Roman numeral. So the Roman numerals are only used when the first element is a transition element. And like I said, it's going to be easier because they're going to be given to you in the name. So you're always going to have an element first, and that will be the transition element. Then you're going to have a Roman numeral, and then you'll either have another element or a radical. So you write the chemical symbol for the first element, which, as I said, is the transition element. And then you'll write the chemical symbol for the second element or the radical. You will then have to check charges, except the first element's charge is given to you based on the Roman numeral. So if the Roman numeral is 2, it means that first element, the transition element's charge is 2. You do not have to consult your periodic table for that first element because it's given to you. So it's going to be much easier than last time. And then you'll check the second element's charge from your periodic table, or if it's a radical, you'll check the radical's charge from your radical sheet. And then just like we've been doing, if the charges do not cancel out, you will crisscross to add subscripts. So much easier than it was in 7.1. So let's try some examples. So first we have iron to bromide. So I'm going to write my symbols first. So iron's Fe, and bromide is bromine, Br. So this Roman numeral is the charge I have to use for iron. So I'm not going to look at my periodic table. I'm going to put a +2 because the Roman numeral is 2. Now, looking at bromine's charge, I do need to consult my periodic table. So bromine's charge is -1. So they do not cancel, so I have to crisscross. So 2 becomes bromine subscripts, 1 becomes iron subscript, and my final answer is FeBr2. Okay, so very similar to what you've been doing, except now you have to use the Roman numeral as the first element's charge. Okay, copper 1 sulfate. I have an element, a transition element, and a radical. So copper is Cu, sulfate is SO4. The Roman numeral is the charge given to me for copper. Do not need to look at my periodic table. It's going to be a +1 based on that Roman numeral. And sulfate's charge is a -2. They do not cancel, so I'll have to crisscross. So my final answer is Cu2, SO4, or you could put the radical in parentheses. Okay, try another. Silver 1 nitrate. Once again, an element and a radical. So silver is Ag. Nitrate is NO3. Make sure you're watching a radical sheet because there is also a nitrite. So the 1 Roman numeral is the charge of silver. So silver is +1. And the first element is always a positive charge. Nitrate overall is a -1. I don't have to crisscross. So my final answer is AgNO3 or Ag with NO3 in parentheses. Either one. Okay, what about chromium 3 oxide? So I'm back to 2 elements. So chromium is Cr, oxide is oxygen. Chromium's charge is +3 given by the Roman numeral. I consult my periodic table. Oxygen's charge is -2. I do have to crisscross. So my final answer is Cr2O3. Okay, try some on your own. Pause the video, check your answers. So try these ones. All right, so check your answers. Starting with the first one, compare this to the one you just did. So now we have chromium 2 oxide instead of chromium 3. So chromium Cr has a charge of +2 given by the Roman numeral. Oxygen is a -2. So my final answer, since they cancel, is just CrO. Copper 1 oxide. Copper Cu has a Roman numeral 1, giving it a +1 charge. Oxygen is a -2. So I crisscross, and this looks like it's coming from the 2, but it's coming from the 1. So my final answer is Cu2O. Third one, iron 3 bromide, Fe iron, has a charge of +3, given by the Roman numeral of 3. Bromine, bromide, has a charge of -1. They don't cancel, so I crisscross them. My final answer is FeBr3. And then the last one is the trickiest, okay? I'm going to guess that you have an answer of SN4. Whoops, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I'm going to guess that your answer is SN2 Se4. It's not that you're wrong. You're correct, but you're not as correct as you could be. This is why it's tricky. Tin has a charge of +4 given by the Roman numeral. Selenium, first the line is a -2. Although I said you crisscross them, if you put the charges back up here with the one I have, 4 times 1 is +4, -2 times 2 is -4. They cancel out. So this is the most correct answer. If you gave me this answer and you put the charges back in, they still cancel out. You get a +8 overall and a -8 overall. So I would give you credit for this, but just be aware this is the trickiest in this case. You just have to figure out if tin's a 4, what times 2 gives me -4. In this case, it's just a 2. So in this case, you don't crisscross. It's kind of algebra. But if you gave me this answer, I would accept it. Okay, and that's it. That is the end of chapter 7. So you have binary, prefix, radical, stock again, except now you're working backwards. Given the English, write the formula.